Hey, and welcome back to a new video. So you are a marketer and you are either joining a company that is already using Webflow for their marketing websites, for their website in general. You are thinking about moving a website that is currently on platforms like Wix or WordPress over to Webflow, or you are thinking about creating a new website in Webflow, then this video is exactly right for you. In the next around 20 minutes, let's say, I will tell you everything about Webflow itself. So what Webflow actually is and why it's so relevant in the industry and why it's so good for marketers. Then I will show you all the Webflow basics. So after the video, you are able to change text, change images, upload blog articles, and you also have all the taxonomy, everything that you need to know to talk to your agencies, freelancers, developers about Webflow itself. And I will share some real-life examples how we are using Webflow for our clients' projects, but also for us internally, especially with our marketing department. So let's start off with what Webflow is in the first place. So Webflow is a software company. They have built a software that helps us to design and develop websites in a visual way. So both web designers and developers can use it to actually create stunning websites, launch them, and these websites are fully responsive. So they work on every device, no matter if phone or desktop. And also Webflow is considered no code. So before, to launch a website, you needed to write code. With Webflow, you don't need to write a single line of code, and that makes it super easy to use. For you, important to know, Webflow is a SaaS tool. So you pay a fixed monthly fee, and for that, they provide the service to you. It's similar like as a Notion, for example, or an Asana. And the good thing is Webflow takes care of hosting and security. So all of the features that you are seeing on the platform, they develop it, they provide it to you, and they also make sure that your website is live, that your website is secure, and you don't need to worry about all of these things. Second up, Webflow is a visual designer, so you can see what you will get later on in the process. Normally with code would be text, you write it down, then you need to upload it to a server, and then you can see what it looks like. With Webflow, you can see it in the development process itself. Competitors to Webflow that most of you might know are WordPress, the largest content management system in the world, but there are also things like Wix, Framer, or some of the other platforms out there. And there are some similarities between these platforms, but there are also some major differences. But today we will focus on Webflow itself, and also Webflow is used by some of the top companies out there. So companies like Dropbox, New York Times, or Philips are using Webflow for their websites. And I often get the question, so why is Webflow good for marketing teams specifically? I will do another video why it's good for developers or designers, but today just focus on you as a marketer. First of all, Webflow gives you design flexibility. So literally everything that you can envision can be created in Webflow. And that's super nice because you can be super creative. Some of the things you can change yourself, but obviously for some more extensive things, you would still need the help of a web designer or web developer. Second up, Webflow is super SEO friendly. So a lot of the things that historically you needed to take care of yourself, especially about like technical SEO, is something that comes with Webflow off the shelf. So just by using their software, a lot of the, let's say, foundation is already set so that your website is ranking well on Google and that your website is performing well. Third off, most important thing of all, Webflow is built in a way that you can do things yourself. When I say that, I mean you can actually make changes to the website without the need of asking a developer. And you can also create a setup that, for example, allows you to create blog articles or dynamic items yourself and with your team. Number 4, security and, as I call it, peace of mind. So Webflow is super easy to use, and as you can see with this video, it will be super easy to also understand in just like 20-30 minutes. And it's also super secure, meaning, for example, if we are thinking about WordPress, most of the WordPress websites are hosted on your own server. So you need to take care of everything that relates to security. You need to make sure that there are no bugs, that there are no security issues. And obviously you can do that, but it takes your resources also to maintain it. And with Webflow, there can also be bugs or security issues, but they have a full team working on it all day long, all the time, and they have thousands of clients around the world. So it's very, very likely that they are able to fix it more quickly, and also that their security standards are way higher than the ones that you could ever have in your company. Number 4 is about integrations. So obviously it's super easy to add stuff like Google Analytics, Facebook Pixel, and these kind of things. You can do that to any website, I know, but also integrations like HubSpot that come off the shelves makes it super, super easy for you as a marketer to work with your favorite tools. And then number 6, more like advanced features. We are not going to talk about them so much today, but with Webflow, it's also super easy, for example, to do A/B testing, conversion rate optimization, or specifically creating dynamic pages for lead capturing, marketing pages, and these kind of things. So this was the main intro to Webflow for marketers. If you need any help with your own project, make sure to check out Magier.com. It's our company where we help the top brands in the world with their design and Webflow needs. And yeah, we are here to talk about your project anytime. But for now, let's dive into the actual work in Webflow itself, and I will show you all the features now. Okay, let's jump in with the first basics. And the basics that I'm showing you right now here are about the Webflow dashboard. So once you are logging into Webflow, it will look something like this. So in your Webflow dashboard here, you get all of the different projects that are in your workspace. So for us here right now, it's just our Magier website. And then I have a folder here with some older backup websites, but there can be also multiple projects in here if you have, for example, multiple websites in your company. In the dashboard itself, you will on the left side have a couple of settings basically. These settings are mainly about your workspace. So who is part of your team of your workspace, your plans, your billing, any sort of integrations, and you can check them out on the left side here. Nothing too crazy. The important thing here to notice about billing is that Webflow divides between workspace plans and site plans. So if we are thinking about this one here, this is our workspace. So we will have all information about the team and the billing here on the left side. If we just want to see the billing information for a specific website, we can go into the project settings here that I will just show in a second. There's also another video on my channel where I explain the differences in Webflow pricing and what you need to understand about them in terms of the differences for you also as a user. Okay, so the Webflow dashboard itself. Let's check out the project settings first. Here, if I click on project settings, there are a ton of different informations about the project myself. So first of all, there's stuff like site access. So in site access, and I will just throw you over a different project here to quickly show it. Here in site access, you can see who can actually access the website. And here we have different roles. So the first role here would be the designer roles, and I will tell you what the designer is in just a second. And then here you have the editor access roles, and the editor is a different type of thing that you need to know about Webflow that I'm also showing you in a second. On the left side, then you have also publishing. Everything in here is probably done by your developer. This is where you connect your domains, where you set up redirects, and where you can publish your website. Billing, this is basically the billing for the project itself. You can check it out. You have the different plans here. You have the site usage, so basically how much bandwidth it was taking from the Webflow service. Here on the left side, you also have some SEO stuff where you can change the robots text, your sitemap, and your canonical text. And then Probably relevant for you, the forms. So on the left side here on the forms, you can change where your forms are sent from the website. This can be a lead gen form. This can be a contact form. You can add your email here, and you will also see the form submits down here if people are actually submitting stuff. Okay, but that's about it, what you need to know about the Webflow project settings, because as I said, most of this stuff is done by your developer or web designer. Now, there are two important things to understand about Webflow in terms of using it as a marketer. If you click Open Site here, it brings you to the Webflow Designer. So the Webflow Designer is the part of the product where the website is actually built. So this is what it looks like. You have a visual version of your website down here where you can simply scroll down. And as I was telling in the intro, this is where everything is built and customized. It is built in a way that on the left side here, you have a lot of the usage elements. So here, if you want to add elements, you have it here on the left. And this can be things like a container. This can be a text block. This can be an image. And I will just show you in a second how you can actually use them. Then you have the pages overview. The pages overview is relevant because it shows all the different pages on your website here. And if I want to change the page, so for example, going from home to about us, I can simply click on it and it brings me to the other page. How does it look in our front end basically? Or if you open up the website, so this was the home page, and then the About Us page looks like this. So super, super similar, almost identical to this one here. So pages here on the left, and then next up you have the navigator. The navigator is basically the structure of a specific page. So the page that I'm on right now. And here, if I can unfold it, I can see all the sections and all the elements of the website. Because in the end, you need to understand that each website that you can see is consisting of tons of different HTML and CSS elements. So here, for example, I can see on the left, if I unfold it, let's say we are going a little bit in, here is a text element. And if I click on it, it's shown on the right side. And also now important to know, here on the right side, we have all informations and properties about the element itself. So this right side here defines how the element looks like. So for now, this one here has two classes, and classes in HTML and CSS basically store information about how an element looks like. And I can change stuff here on the right side. But I will also talk about this in just a little bit. Next up here, we have components. So components are basically, here you can see it in the preview, elements of your website that can be reused. So for example, we have an announcement bar right now on our website. It's on the top here, and it's used in 3 instances. Instances here means on 3 subpages. And then we have the variables. So the variables here are basically your style guide, also something that your developer or designer will do. It defines the colors that are used across the website. Then we have the style selectors. Also not so relevant for you as a marketer, but it gives me all the information about the definitions here that we have on the website. And then we have our assets. Assets are basically images and videos that are uploaded to your website. Okay, so one final thing that I wanted to show you here in the designer is, first of all, here on top, you can change the responsiveness, or basically you can see how the website looks like on mobile. Or different breakpoints on the desktop. And if you have a multi-language site, this is also where you change the language and where you can customize the content for a specific local, but I have also a specific video for that on the channel. Another thing that you need to understand as a marketer is the difference between a static page and a dynamic page. A dynamic page in this case is a page that comes out of the Webflow CMS. So if I go onto the pages here on the left, all these pages that you can see here are static pages. Static pages means it's pages that are looking exactly like this, also in the front end, and they are not dynamically filled with any sort of content. The alternative to a static page is a dynamic page. In Webflow, it's called CMS collection pages. The best example for these are blog pages. So blog pages, they always have the same layout, as you can see here, but the content changes. So for example, here in the top, I can change from this article to this article. And as you can see, the main layout stays the same, but the content inside is changed. And this is super, super important, specifically for you as a marketer, because most of the time, you as a marketer are just changing content or adding content on websites, for example, blog, so that you don't need to touch the static pages and you don't need to visually build together a website, but it's mostly about adding content to the CMS. The CMS in Webflow, you can enter it through this button. It's basically it consists of CMS collections. So for example, the blog would be a CMS collection, or another thing would be our jobs. So different job offers. And in this CMS collection, I will always have the so-called CMS items. So one blog article would be one CMS item. And as you can see here, this is the content of the blog article that then will be shown in our front end. In Webflow itself, this is the designer, but there is a second thing that you can access, and that's the Webflow Editor. And the Webflow Editor is specifically here if you just want to add content or edit content. It can be accessed through this button here, or it can also be accessed if there is like a question mark equals edit equals 1 added to the URL. And you can also specifically invite users to your project that are editors. So if I'm going here to the site access quickly again, if you invite someone here, they just have access to the editor and not to the designer that I just showed you. So once they can edit the editor, it looks like this. It's just a version of your website with one difference, and that's the bar down here. And in this bar down here, you have a couple of things to show to them. And first of all, we have pages here. So pages are all the static pages that I just showed you earlier. So for example, if I'm an editor, a marketer in the company, I can click on About Us as the page. And now something pops up here, and this is like an edit item. So I'm here and I can literally change the content on the website. So that's super, super cool, because you can change the design, you can just change the content, or for example, you can also change images. Most of the time, this is used by marketing teams that want to edit copy on the website, for example, change images and all sorts of things. Next up, you have orders and e-commerce. This is just relevant if you have an e-commerce plan on Webflow or are selling stuff. We are not doing it, so it's not relevant for us. And then you have collections. And collections here are the CMS items that I just showed you. So for example, here the blog. And I can, on the one side, edit all blog articles that the website already had before. It's the same input fields that I also have here in the backend in my designer. So as you can see here, it's just a different version of it. You can add also all images and everything. And you can edit these things in here, but also, and this is the best thing, you can add new blog content. So I can add a new blog item here. So that makes it super easy for me as a marketer to use it without the need of changing the design or something. And then last but not least, here are forms. So all forms on the website have a name, and they have some form submissions here depending on how you are setting up. So you can also work with them, for example, by exporting a CSV and then working with it. So hope you understood the main difference between Webflow Designer, mainly for everything that is done by your web designer or web developer if they want to change the layout of the website, and then the Webflow Editor, the mini version of it, where you can just change content. In the next part of the video, I want to explain the designer a little bit more in detail. This is not something that's relevant for all marketers out there, but you should still understand how it's working. So a page in the designer is always structured by its elements. So for example, we are on our page here, and if we are going on the left side to this page navigator, we can see all the different items here on the page. And let's imagine we would like to add a new section on top of it. Then I would go with a div block here that I can move in between some of the other div blocks. Okay, now this div block here would be empty. So we want to fill it with live. So for example, we could move another div block in here, and div block is basically a building block of your website. And I can nest items with each other. And I could, for example, say, hey, this should have the height of 200 pixels. And then, as you can see, this item here is extended. And for example, in this section now, I could also throw in an image. And this image here, I can simply upload. Okay, here is my image. And obviously the image now is way taller than the overall section. So I could say, hey, I want to have the size smaller. This should be just 100 pixels, for example, and then the image would be smaller. And this is the way how a whole website is built also by your developers. So they are adding elements towards the website, and then they are styling the elements. And the styling of the elements is always done here on the right side. So for example, if I have a text block here and I want to make this text block, have a font weight that is a little bit more weight. So I could just go to the right here and change the text block to 700 in weight. And as you can see, what has happened is automatically a div class was created, a CSS class that defines this change. And this CSS class can be renamed. So it could be bold test text. And that's super, super cool, because that means also if I'm using a text somewhere else that should look the same, I can just say, hey, please text, we want to change you to bold test text, and boom, it looks the same. In most websites, or if you want to have a super clean website, there is a specific way of how these text and buttons and everything is actually named. So this is done by your developer, and you should be very, very cautious about the things that you are changing yourself as a marketer, because obviously you don't want to make the whole project super, super messy. But it is important to understand how it's working in the most basic way. Let's imagine now we want to change something on the website. So you are getting in here on the specific page, and you want to change text. You can simply double click in here, and now we could go inside and we can say Magier Design is a creative service. So I could just change the text, and everything is done. Whenever you want to release a new version of your website, you go to publish, and then you can either choose staging. So the staging is basically a preview of your website that you can access on, in our case, magier-staging.webflow.io. And this page here is protected so that no one can go to it. But it gives you an idea of what the page will look like in the end. Or if you want to push it to the live site, then you choose production here, and you publish to selected domain. Okay, besides text, there might be something else that you want to change. So for example, you want to change an image. If you want to change an image, you can see here the image element. You can also see it here on the left in the navigator. You click on this little cog here, and then you can here select replace image. And I could easily swap out the image by an image that I uploaded from my desktop, or that was already in our library in here. Also, something important that you should know as a marketer, if you want to change the alt tag of an image, you can go in here. You can go to the right side to settings. This is basically mostly the same functionality that you would also have in the dropdown. So don't worry about this. And then you can change the alt text here to a custom description. Another thing that you probably need to understand is how you would build new websites. As I showed you, you can use the navigator to do it, but also, for example, you want to copy over some stuff from another page on your website or in here. You could simply go in here and you can select any element and then just press Command and C. And this element here now is very, very down below. So section FAQ, and let's say we want to have it up here. So I select the outer wrapper, and then we are going for the main wrapper. I'm just dropping it in here. I copied it, move it up there. And now, as you can see, the logic is, okay, section header, section FAQ. So I have the new section in here and I can work with it. You will probably be asking, what are all these green things here on the left side? So these things are components. So components are elements on our website that we are using throughout different pages. And for example, this customer section, it's on our main page, but also some other pages. And we have been creating a component because if we want to reuse it, we don't want to change the content over and over again on the website. So in the component itself, I can either, if I want to have the layout the same and just change the content, I would use the properties here on the right side that are set up by your designer or developer. Or if I want to change something everywhere, I can double click and then the navigator unfolds this component and I can go in here and change the text. So super, super cool feature, especially to save you a ton of time. Okay, another thing that you should know as a marketer is how to change meta descriptions and some technical SEO stuff. So here on the left side, we have our static pages. And if you click on the cog here, for example, for the About Us page, you see a couple of different settings. So first of all, page name. This is something that is internally for you, basically. Just to find the page in here. The slug is your URL, so you can customize it as you want. You can add some stuff. You can see then the URL is changing. And also, when you do that, it asks you if you want to redirect the old URL to the new one. So as you can imagine, someone could have saved About Us in the bookmarks, and they should be redirected to the new page whenever you are changing the URL. So make sure to have this one checked. You can also access control, so you can say, hey, this page should just be accessible with the password. And then we are moving over to the SEO settings. The SEO settings is mainly three things. First of all, the title tag. So this is something that you would see up here in your browser bar, but also in the Google search results. The meta description is something also that Google takes to work with and show. And the third thing here is the sitemap indexing. So the sitemap basically is a list of all the websites or all URLs on your website. And if you want to have this specific page in here, turn it on. That's mostly the right choice. Only if you don't want to have the thing in this specific page in the sitemap, just turn it off. And then last but not least, Open Graph. So we are almost all the time using the same as the title and description. So this is what will be shown once you, for example, drop a link of your website into LinkedIn, Slack, or any other Facebook social media network, and the Open Graph image URL. So this is basically the image that will be previewed once I share it on socials. And this URL here, I was grabbing myself from our assets. So I can simply upload an image here, and then it will be uploaded to the server. And here, I think I already, let's see if we have it. Here are already a ton of different images that I uploaded. So if I want to use something as an OG image, I can just go in here, copy link. And now this link here that is copied is right to the image that I was selecting. So you can also take a look at it. And you can then, in the page itself, for example, go in here and let's use the About Us. And then you could throw it in here and you can see the new preview and the changed image. Make sure to save the stuff. And as I said before, whenever you want to bring something live, always push to the selected domain here. So your main domain. Last but not least, relevant for marketers, where are the scripts added? So scripts, external scripts, this can be Tag Manager, can be Facebook Pixel and these kind of things. Two options. First option, they are added on a page level. Page level means on a specific page of your website. You can also do it through the settings here. And there you can add code in the head tag or body tag of your website. Or if it's something that should be on all pages, every single page of your website, then you can also add it here in your dashboard if you're going to the Webflow project settings. Most of the time, the use case for something like this would be Google Analytics or Tag Manager or something like that. So I can go to settings, custom code, and then add some code in here and also publish from here. Okay, hope you liked the quick walkthrough of the designer. Let's move over to the CMS explanation next. So for the Webflow CMS, as we learned earlier, there are two ways to add items to it, through the editor here or also through the Webflow Designer. I just want to explain real quick what the CMS is in the first place. So the CMS is a content management system that helps us store information that can be easily changed and information that will also be added in a dynamic way to a page. As I showed you earlier, for example, a blog layout, the layout always stays the same. We are just going to swap out information. So also the blog here is the most common use case, for example. So here, as I showed, I can easily add a new CMS item by saying, hey, I want a new blog item. I can create it here. I can add all information. This can be the name, this can be the slug, the hero image, the content itself, the short description, the meta description, the author. I can literally pick everything. And the cool thing here with the CMS is all of these informations that I'm adding, I can then reuse in our front end. So two things here to understand. First of all, if I'm creating a static page, so here I've created a static page, I can say, please pull all of the blog content that I have onto this static page. And I can do this by using a so-called CMS collection. So you can see here, there's an element that is called CMS collection list. I can simply drag it in here, and then for the CMS collection list, I basically selected the source. So the source here means they are pulling all information from the CMS, and I can, for example, say, please show all the cards here, and for example, also, please pick the hero image of the CMS collection item, pick the text here, and so all of this block grid is actually populated. And on the right side, if I want to change some things like the order or some filters, or I can say only show 10 images, there's a super easy way to do it. So remember, you can pull information from the CMS onto a static page. And then second up, for every single CMS collection, there's also a dynamic page created. In this example for the blog here, I showed you this is a dynamic layout, and on this dynamic layout I could say here, please on the left side show the author of this blog article here. So I have my item here, and in this div item I can say here, please show the image of the author of the blog and show also the text as the name as an alt text. Or here on the right side, please take the content that we are having for this blog and show it on this specific page. And this is the content that is stored in the blog for this specific article. If I'm changing the article, obviously here, boom, the content is totally different. And that's super, super cool because you can create these dynamic pages. I just said that for every single CMS collection, and we remember these are the CMS collections, a dynamic page is created. Yes, that's correct. This is the logic of Webflow, but sometimes, for example, we don't need it. So for example, we have a CMS collection about our departments in the company. And if I click here on the dynamic page, you can see it's empty because we don't need it. We are just using the department as kind of like a category on another blog CMS collection. So you can just keep it empty also, that's also fine. And you can then also say you want to exclude it of the publishing. So this is not published to the front end. This is just shown for you. But I also want to show you this specific example in the backend here. So as I said, departments is something that we have as a CMS collection. And we have Webflow, operations, other, design, marketing. These departments, we just have a name and a color. And how we are using it is we have one CMS collection, jobs. And this jobs CMS collection has our open roles. The open roles here is something like we have a short description, we have a link, and we are referencing the department because we want to have some sort of order in all of these job offers. And now in the front end, we can use this information if we are going to our careers page. So on the careers page, we were saying, please show us all of the open job offers. And we have the department shown here. And we can use this category to filter. So we can filter here for the different jobs in the departments. So that's a very, very common use case also of the Webflow CMS. Another use case that I just wanted to show you is, case studies could be something, but let's say testimonials. So we have been storing also testimonials in the CMS. So for example, if we are on any of our, let's check out the pricing page. So the pricing page here has a ton of testimonials, and it's super not so easy to add them to the static page because you always need a developer. But we want to be able as a marketing team to add testimonials ourselves. So we said, hey, let's ramp up a new CMS collection. And this can be done very easily. So you can just click here, new CMS collection. You can decide the fields that you want. And we've been doing it for testimonials. And now these were the information that we were storing. So things like from title of review to company logo, all of these things. And we are super fast in adding new testimonials. So I can simply add a new testimonial here. I can give all of the information, and then it can be automatically shown in the front end. So whenever I add a new testimonial, the developer doesn't need to do anything because, and now we are going to the pricing page. On the pricing page itself, it is set up in a way that here in this component, we have a CMS collection, and this shows all of the testimonials that we already have in the backend. So if you are thinking about setting up your website, I would always think about, okay, what are items that are changed regularly, that need to be changed by marketing or people that don't know how to code? These should be set up as CMS collections, and then they can be added in the designer or editor, and your marketing team can actually do it. So blog items, testimonials, can also be something like freebies, for example, team members, work examples, all sorts of things. And this is the true power of Webflow because it empowers marketing teams to change content themselves, to add new contents to the website. And that's super, super nice, especially without the help of any developer. So that was my quick rundown of Webflow for marketers. I hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, write them in the comments below. If you want to learn more about marketing, Webflow, and design, follow the channel for more. And also, if you need help with your website, make sure to check out Magier.com. We are your go-to partner for all things design and Webflow. And yeah, thank you so much. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.